Okay, so a translation is literally just sliding an object across the surface. It never changes shape. It never changes size. It never changes the direction it's pointing. It is just moving it from here to here to here to here to here to here. That's it. So if we're looking here, this is showing this shape has been moved down. That is a translation. It is showing this L has been pushed off to the side. That is a translation. It is showing this weird thingamabob moving up diagonally. That is a translation. So if I'm looking here, what do I see with this shape? It's a little hard to see here. Look at this guy. What's happening here? Is that a translation? No, that is a reflection. This is something that has been flipped. It does not look exactly the same. It looks like someone held a mirror up to it. What about this? Is this a translation?
Yes.
No, because it is not the same shape. A translation is taking the exact same shape. This does not show a translation. Those are two different things. This does. Okay? This does not show a translation. This does not show a translation. Okay? It has to be the exact same thing where you copy and paste. That's what it is. It's copy paste. Okay, what about that? No, that is also a reflection that has been flipped over. This one? Yes, it's the exact same shape that has been pushed. So, does a translation change a figure's shape or size? No, it does not. Is moving a figure horizontally a translation? Yes, any direction is a translation. As long as it never lifts up. As long as it stays flat. The minute it goes like that or the minute it goes like that, it's no longer a translation. It has to be something that stays put and it's just sort of scooted along. That's it. Does moving a ruler across your desk affect its shape? No. This marker does not automatically go like whoop. It doesn't do that when it moves. That doesn't happen on its own. So a ruler is not going to get smaller as we push it. It's not going to get bigger as we push it. It stays the same. Can a translation of a figure be done in many different directions? Yes, any direction you want, it can be done. So we're looking at these guys. Is this showing a translation? Yes. Is this showing a translation?
Yes.
Is this?
No.
No, it is not. That has been flipped. What about this one?
No.
It's a little hard to see. But no, you don't get bigger if you move. What about that one?
Yes.
What about this one?
Yes.
Yes. What about coming down here?
Yes.
Yes. What about? No. These stars do not just randomly shrink out of nowhere. What about the triangles? No, you can't just randomly grow. Doesn't work that way. So a reflection is when it is flipped. A reflection shows that kind of flip of the same object. You can reflect side to side or you can reflect up and down. There are some shapes like this W right here. If I go, okay, there is a W. If I were to flip it this way, it would look exactly the same, wouldn't it? But if I flipped it this way, if I reflected it going this way, well then it would look very different. It would be reflected. So some shapes, a triangle, an equilateral triangle, if I reflect it, well look, it's the exact same thing. But if I reflect it going up and down, then it changes. So reflections can happen in different ways too. reflections can be tricky just because it kind of messes with your brain. I mean, when we are looking at ourselves in a mirror, that is a reflection. So look at number 1. Is this a reflection? Yes, it is back to back. It has been flipped. Is this a reflection? No, that has been rotated. What about this guy? No, that has been not only, it's a translation. And honestly, it could be reflected because it's the same size shape. If it was reflected over this way, it would look the same. But because it's moved over, it's not. What about this guy? Yes. Does a reflection change a figure's size or shape? No. Does your face get smaller when you look in a mirror? No. I mean, I guess in one of those clown mirrors or something where your face gets all weird looking. But things don't magically shrink. Is this a reflection? No. Is this a reflection? Yes. Is this a reflection? No, that's a translation. Is this a reflection? Yes. Is this a reflection? What about that? No. What about this? Okay, so this is the case of the W. If I have an oval and I reflect it, there we go. If I have an oval that I reflect over this way, this is a reflection. It is also a translation. If I were to flip the oval like that, then it would also still look the same. There are some shapes that can be a translation and a reflection at the same time. This square reflected is this square. This square is also a translation. Now, if I were to draw this square and then like this, that is clearly only a translation and not a reflection. But because it's right next to each other, I'm allowed to take my marker and go like that, or that, or that, or that. But this could be both. This is a reflection and a translation. Same with a heart. A reflected heart looks like this. A translated heart looks like that. Now, could I also reflect the heart this way? You betcha. But I didn't. Could I also translate the heart down here and go like that? Sure. That's one of my many options. So the answer to this is, yeah, that's a reflection. It's also a translation. It could be both. So 13, 14, and 15, let's take a look. This is a good practice for drawing. It wants you to draw the reflection. What I do when I am drawing a reflection is I pay attention to the grid lines here. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes are filled in, and it's one row there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? And then I see that this point is really close to that dotted line, so I put my other point right here. That's about right. And then I just connect the lines. Doop, doop. Do your drawings have to be perfect? No. It just has to be clear that you are making that reflection. Now, this one is a little bit trickier because I can't really line anything up. So I'm going to do the very best I can. My point starts here, okay? There's another point right about there. So I'm going to kind of try my best. And then that last point's like right around there. That's pretty darn close, right? Yeah. The only way you would get something like this completely wrong is if you did it like that and just copied it and made a translation of it. Or if you just sort of randomly drew an arrow like that. And it clearly is not a reflection. My arrow is not perfect. That's okay. This last bit here, I try my best. I just copy what I see. I see a straight line. That's what this guy right here is. And then it curves up, so this curves down like that. Is it perfect? No. But is it a pretty close reflection? Yes, it is. Not so bad, right? Okay, last one, and then we'll come back and do the problem solving for them. Rotations. A rotation is when you turn it. So if I were to take my marker here and I were to rotate it, okay? This is when we start talking about like degrees, a rotational degree. How this was a 360. This was a 180. Or I just take this, that's a fourth of a turn. That's a half of a turn. That's 3/4 of a turn. That's a full turn. So when we're rotating, again, you are just taking the shape and you're moving it. So does the size or the shape change? No. And can I just make it go la 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 la? There's my rotation? No. It stays on a point. So you notice I hold one end and I'm kind of going like that and moving it around. If you look at this picture, it shows a fixed point, how it moves. It's almost like the hands on a clock. Those rotate. Think of a hands on a clock. So when a figure is rotated, it does not change the size or the shape. It just changes the direction it's going in. So if I'm looking here at these two guys, does that show a rotation? Yeah. No, it does not. That shows a reflection. Does this show a rotation? Yes. Yes. That dark square was on top, and now here's that point. That's the key right there. This point. That is your key to figuring out that it's a rotation. The dark square was up here, but now it's down here, so it was flipped. Look at this guy. This shape started up here, and now it looks like it's down here, or maybe it started down here and now it's up here. But if I were to take this shape and scooch it, it would match that. Is this? No, that's some weird random thing that makes no sense. So does a rotation change a figure's shape or size? No. Can every figure be rotated so that it lands on top of itself? Well, in a sense, yes. Because if I were to rotate this all the way around and say that was a 360-degree rotation, or that was a full rotation, then yeah, I would land right where I started. If you rotate the arrow below 180 degrees about point X, in which direction will the arrow be pointing? So 180 degrees is half, right? Half a circle. So if I go like that, that's 180 degrees. So if I did that to the arrow, where would it be pointing? That way. Okay, so let's look at these guys. Has this shape been rotated? Yes. It has. I can make it go up and over. That would work. Has this shape been rotated? Yes. Yes. What about this? No, they put a dot there to mess with you, but I'm not sure. If I were to turn this, then it would be down. That is just a translation with a dot to be mean. What about this? Yes. So if I were to take this and then kind of turn it and then turn it and then turn it, yeah. No, 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 no. Because it has been reflected here. It's not. Because you have to visualize. And this is where it gets tricky because you have to kind of put it in your head here. If I were to turn it maybe down that way, it wouldn't look like that. This is not. What about this one though? Yes. Yes. What about this one? No. Good eyes. That is a reflection. If this were to just be rotated, this longer part right here would be on the top on this side, not on the bottom. Okay? So for this one, let's draw a rotation where it has been flipped. Now, of course, this is going to be silly because it's just a perfect square. But if it has been flipped, it says a fourth to the right. Okay, well, that just means I'm moving it a little bit. So I'm just going to go like that. Honestly, it would share a line if you flip it, if you rotate it. Okay, the P, that's going to be easier to do. A fourth, that means it fell on its face. Like that. There we go. Fell on his face. Here we go. A pentagon. That's going to be something I have to kind of work at. A fourth of a turn. That means probably, to the best of my ability. There we go. They're easier to look at than they are to draw. But so, the key to understanding this is that a translation is when we go from here to here to here to here. They just move around. A reflection is when I have a shape that then goes boop like that, and it reflects itself. If this is the shape, then this is the reflection. This is a reflection, okay? That is a reflection. And then a rotation. Stays on a point, rotates, rotates. La, 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 la. That's it, okay? Translation, you slide. Reflection, you flip. Rotation, you turn. That's all you need to know.